When you're asked to find the inverse of a function, the first thing you need to do is switch the x and the y around. Obviously, x is sitting over here, but we have to recognize that f of x is a y. That means when we switch x and y, it's going to be that x is equal to 2y plus 1. Then we solve this for y. Subtract 1 from both sides, and then divide by 2. So you'll have that y is x minus 1 all over 2. Now that's all the work to find the inverse. The last thing we have to do is actually call it the inverse of f by using that -1 notation. So f inverse is x minus 1 divided by 2. So let's do it again with g of x. Switch the x and the y. So we'll say x is equal to 2 times y plus 1 and solve this. Here we're going to divide first. So x over 2 is y plus 1. Then subtract 1 from both sides, and y would equal x over 2 minus 1. So call it the inverse. G inverse of x is equal to x over 2, if you want to call that 1/2 x, or just leave it as x over 2, that's fine, minus 1. For h of x, switch the x and the y around. And start solving. First, I'll want to multiply by 3 to get rid of the fraction. We'll have 5y minus 1, plus 1. Subtract that 1 to bring it over to the other side. And divide both sides by 5. Call it the inverse. H inverse of x is 3x minus 1 all over 5. And when it's y, switch the x and the y. And solve for y. So I'll subtract the 1/4 first. And the way to get rid of a fraction is to multiply by the reciprocal. So on this side, I'm also going to multiply by 2. And that'll leave me 2x minus 1/2. 2/4 is 1/2. It's equal to y. So the inverse, y inverse, is 2x minus 1/2.